Let's see the Atomic Heart gameplay. Let's do this. Boom, here we go.
Off we go.
Ugh, this tunnel's messed up. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
After nearly 5 years since its stunning announcement trailer, we're now just 1 month away from the launch of Atomic Heart, the strictly single-player first-person shooter that thrusts you into an alternate history Soviet setting and tasks you with taking on an army of angry androids. The good news is that after going hands-on with the first couple of hours of a near-final build of the game, this Bolshevik Bioshock seemed as though it could be well worth the wait. Its superpowered combat, fascinating story, and spectacular setting all appear to be clicking seamlessly into place to form a cohesive whole, blinking into vibrant life like one of its many deadly assembly line creations. The opening moments of Atomic Heart's reportedly 25-hour campaign takes you from the sun-kissed streets of Chalamet City floating high among the clouds, all the way down to the shadowy subterranean depths of the ruined Vavilov facility, where a violent robot uprising has wiped out almost all human workers. Weapons and skills are doled out fairly slowly in this initial stretch, and with only a fireman's axe and limited shells for my shotgun, I found myself favouring stealth wherever possible. So it's just as well that the earliest upgrades you unlock are the abilities to track enemies through walls and shock the Dandelion surveillance cameras in order to avoid alarm-raising detection. On the occasion that I did alert a guard to my presence, the stiff challenge presented by Atomic Heart's early enemy types came as a bit of a shock to my system. Or indeed, a system shock, if you prefer. These resilient Terminator types ignore cover in favour of making a beeline to deliver you a beatdown. And even if you manage to circle, strafe and dash in order to create some distance, they're still liable to open up their animatronic maws and blast hot laser death in your direction. I must admit to perishing a few times early on as I got to grips with the rhythms of the weighty melee combat system.
Lol, noob. Dying in a game, can you imagine? I know that this means that when I get the game for a review, they say it takes 25 hours. It'll probably take me like 50 hours. I'll come on stream in the middle of the process and I'll just be sobbing. Guys, I can't finish the game. I suck so bad at it. I can't. Oh.
But that struggle grew into a sense of satisfaction as I unlocked alternate attacks and gradually became more capable of turning these robot Ruskies into sparking shards of Soviet scrap. As I explored deeper into the darkened corners of Atomic Heart's first facility, I was pleasantly surprised by numerous examples of intelligent design. Rummaging through corpses and cabinets for ammo and crafting materials is a cumbersome yet necessary evil in most other first-person shooters. So being able to swiftly vacuum up a room's worth of items with a wave of your AI-enhanced glove, like you're sucking up gold coins from a level in Luigi's Mansion, is a welcome time saver.
You see, something like this, I love, because it's the same thing with like inventory weights. And what I mean by that is, like in a game, ask yourself, why do open world games and exploration games have carrying capacities? Why? You had to put it in there for a reason, or at least you should have, for a reason. What is that reason? Can they explain it to you? Most of the time, there isn't actually a reason beyond, well, it's just kind of a staple of this genre of game that we do that. It's like there should be more of a reason to it than that, I think. There really should be. And honestly, a lot of the time it does just honestly come down to, well, that's just what these kinds of games have. So like Fallout 4, why does it have a carrying capacity? Well, they could say to keep it grounded in the world and to do this, but it's like, if it's to keep it grounded, why are you still able to lug around 15 bazookas? That doesn't make any sense. That's not great. If you wanted it to be grounded, you'd have a carrying capacity of like 30 pounds or 40 pounds. And then you can only carry on top of that like a handful of guns. Like, why are you... It's not to be grounded. So that's not what it is. Like, it's just because you need the limitation. And you say, well, it's so that the player can't just always have items on hand. It's like, well, why would that be a bad thing? Because now they have to travel back to the base, dump all their stuff off, and if they need to craft something with those items, they have to fast travel all the way back, grab the items, craft it, then put all the extra junk back, and then go out. So like, it doesn't make sense. Why not collect it and then have like a courier that you work with? You can send your companion to lug all of the stuff back to base, and then they're gone for like an in-game day or something. Why not do something like that? Like, you've got to have reasons for doing this stuff. And for searching these cabinets individually, that is something where it's just been a staple of gaming for a long time. But a lot of the time, I don't think they'd be able to tell you why that's a thing. Like, wait, why do I have to individually search all these cabinets in a world where I could just suck up all this stuff individually? Like, well, that's just because that's how we've always done it, you know? Well, okay, so Fallout carry weight limitations are so that you have to manage your inventory for survival. It's fun. I totally agree. Some people do find it fun. A lot of other people find it excessively tedious, especially later in the game when you should be having like extra fun, to just be at the point where you're like, okay, I want to upgrade fun stats, but I have to throw stats into strength so that I can carry more. Or I just have to consistently chug beers in the game so that I have higher strength so I can carry more. Like, it just, for me at least, it ends up being more tedious than fun. I get that maybe the management of carrying capacity is fun for some people. I find it tedious in most games, personally. But hopefully we can all agree that Resident Evil 7's inventory system was god-awful. They said that carrying system, like to have the 2 blocks for like a gun, or the 6 blocks for a gun, and then like the 2 blocks for this item, they said that was so that you would have to kind of play Tetris to get your inventory sorted. So it's fun. But then when reviews came out and complained about it, the devs then came out and said, well, actually, the idea was that it would add to the stress of individual moments, because if you pick something up in a desperate panic, you'd be picking it up, but you have to find the space, and it's stressful just to find space in your inventory for it. So it adds to the meta implications of the game's story and world. I'm like, maybe that is what it was designed around. They're like, let's make it intentionally bad so that it's stressful, which will add to it. But that's like the same level of excuse people make when they say, no, the reason that this character controls like ass is because the character doesn't know how to drive the car. So it's part of it. And they, similar stuff was said with like, Kingdom Come Deliverance, where they said the reason the gunplay is so difficult, or gunplay, Jesus, yeah, gunplay is real difficult. It's not even in the game. The reason the sword play was so difficult is because they wanted it to feel like you were starting off with no experience in sword fighting, just like Henry, the main character. And it's like, I get that. I understand that desire, but all it did is it just made the game feel bad to play. Like, so even though that was your intention, I think the negatives outweighed the positives of fulfilling this meta purpose, right? So anyway, we're far more beside the fact.
That's not to say you aren't still rewarded for taking your time to pore over every inch of your surroundings, and I enjoy the occasional optional diversions, like pausing to watch Soviet spins on Looney Tunes cartoons, or to make prank calls in a public phone booth.
Is your refrigerator running?
Yeah, and it's coming to get you, kid.
Ah, crap.
Of course, if you're going to fill your game with mechanical maniacs, then you're going to need a soundtrack that's equally heavy with metal. And as a big Doom fan, I was delighted when composer Mick Gordon's signature detuned guitars and double-kick drums surged through the speakers to accompany a boss fight against a hulking robot wrecking ball that pinballed around the arena like an over-caffeinated chain chomp. Gordon's ability to masterfully pair head-banging riffs with headshots like some sort of first-person shooter sommelier is not to be understated, and Atomic Heart's more intense action sequences are made all the more invigorating as a result of his involvement. While I couldn't get enough of the heavy metal shredding that accompanied the shredding of heavy metal, I'm yet to be completely won over by Atomic Heart's mouthy main star. Agent P3's quips aim for action hero style swagger, but come across as something closer to the repetitive trash talking of a 14-year-old Fortnite fan.
My life.
And given Atomic Heart appropriates so much from the likes of Half-Life 2, Bioshock, and Doom, at times I did find myself wishing it had poached one of their silent protagonists while it was at it.
How do you like that, gearhead? How do you like that, gearhead?
I did at least appreciate the bluntness of your AI partner, Charles.
It was a pleasure serving with you, Major P3. Unfortunately, you are about to be killed.
There's also a slight concern that the wide open spaces in between Atomic Heart's 5 main facilities may be lacking in interesting things to discover. While I definitely enjoyed testing out my electroshock and force slam abilities on groups of patrolling sentries, and then frantically scrambling to take down the repair bots before they could resurrect their tin can comrades, I couldn't help but notice that my surroundings were seemingly populated by the same handful of farmhouses and drivable vehicles in the short amount of time I spent exploring one corner of the overworld. This is in contrast to the opening of the game in Chalamet City, which looks dense with unique detail but can only be experienced in a very linear fashion. That said, even if the open world area does merely serve as a place to blast robotic hordes to bits in order to farm for spare parts to craft with, it seems like there will be enough creativity contained within Atomic Heart's main facilities to sustain the adventure. From underground labs with bodies of water suspended in air that you can swim through in order to quickly evade attackers, and
That's hella trippy.
various puzzle rooms to neatly take advantage of your growing suite of glove-based powers.
What do I do now? Lug this shit to the boiler myself?
My short time with Atomic Heart definitely left me with my curiosity piqued and my pulse racing, and if it can sustain its intrigue and ingenuity for the full length of its journey, it could be something very special indeed. For more previews of upcoming games, check out our hands-ons with Sons of the Forest and Fire Emblem Engage. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I'm excited for this. I told the dev team back probably October, maybe. I told them, like, can you please put me on the list for, like, review codes and stuff for this, like, yesterday? I'm very excited and very interested in this game. And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. But, like, it looks very, very good. It looks very, very good. Oh, I'm excited. He took my thing. Red flag, red flag.
16 times the detail.